Friends, I will now like to invite the panelists this evening. We have with us Dr. Shirish Sankhe, Senior Partner of McKinsey and Company. Thank you, Shirish, for joining us. Would you like to please come on stage? Thank you. We have Dr. Haripriya also with us. Thank you for joining us. He is the Professor in Department of Economics at IIT Mumbai. Please. We also have Dr. Brindra Jagirdar, who is the member at RAC and IIFB Mumbai. Thank you for joining us, Doctor. We are expecting Shankar Jadhav from the BSc Head of Strategy, but we have another very young lady, Ms. Aarti, She's the Head and Future Thinking at Yunus School of Business Global Initiative, and she's going to help us moderate today's session. I would now request our Executive Board member, Mr. Sanjay Ubale, to please come and set the tone of this evening. And I also at this point of time welcome Mr. Shankar Jadhav, who is the Head of Strategy for BSc. Thank you for being here. Mr. Ubale, you please set the tone. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome everyone for this session on is Mumbai still the economic powerhouse of India? I'm always reminded about, and I'm very excited about whenever I'm talking about Mumbai. And Shirish has been one of those associates with us who worked on Mumbai. We had lots of plans 20 years ago. A lot of them have happened and a lot of them haven't happened. We're probably going to discuss that. And we're probably going to ask Shirish to hold. We will make Shirish account for whatever was promised at that time. It was his job to implement, but I need to probably talk about what were the hits and misses. But today, when I was just preparing for this, I came across an article which was written in 2016 by Oxford Economics. It's one of the leading financial consultancy firm. And what it talks about was something which was very startling for me personally. I don't know whether everybody here know about it, but what it said was that in 2015 itself, the GDP of Delhi surpassed that of Mumbai. So if you actually say that whether Mumbai is the economic powerhouse or not, in 2015 itself, Delhi surpassed Mumbai as the economic powerhouse of India. So we are probably a little late in having this conference today, and perhaps I think what we should try and do is, rather than moaning about what went wrong, what is it that we can do in the days to come to make Mumbai preeminent again as far as one of the leading cities in driving the economic growth for the state as well as for the country. But what was interesting is was that this report further talks about by 2030. That means in the next 8 years or so, it says that while both the cities, Delhi and Mumbai, will move up in the rankings. Currently, Delhi is 30th and Mumbai is 31st in terms of its GDP. Delhi will move up to rank 11 by 2030 and Mumbai will move up to rank 14. So the gap between Delhi and Mumbai will widen further. So that is what this report says. By 2030, I don't know if there's any latest report that they've made in terms of where we stand today in 2022. But I tried to find out, but there's no such report at the moment, at least, to say where we stand today. Another report that came out from this institute in 2021, December 2021, and we have a lot of panel experts here, and we should probably ask these questions to them as well, is that the major driver in 900 cities globally is going to be banking and financial services. That's going to be the major driver of economic growth in some of these mega cities. However, about 55 million jobs will probably occur just in these 900 cities. And 40% of these jobs will occur only in the cities of Asia, largely confined to Asia. It says that 4 cities, it basically points out 4 cities, and Delhi, Mumbai certainly are the 2 cities that it mentions, but it also mentions 2 other cities. Shenzhen is another city that it mentions. So it mentions 4 cities which are going to lead a major chunk, or which are going to draw a major chunk of this job creation that's going to happen by 2040. So that's where the huge economic activity is going to come about. So only one of the sectors, there are several other sectors, but this is going to be the major driver in these cities, particularly Delhi and Mumbai. The reason why Mumbai First is choosing to host this conference is because of its inherent concern about Mumbai and retaining its preeminent position as the financial and economic powerhouse for this country. I remember about 20 years back when we prepared a report called the Vision Mumbai Report. The concern exactly was the same because there were several other cities like the cities of Hyderabad, Delhi, Bangalore, were all trying to improve their own infrastructure, improve their governance standards, and really give a serious run for their money as far as Mumbai was concerned. So what is it that Mumbai needed to do, not only in retaining its preeminence as far as India is concerned, but also become a global competitor in some of the other financial centers? Could be Hong Kong, it could be Singapore, it could be Dubai. How does Mumbai upgrade itself to make Mumbai as a global financial center was a concern that we had. And because of the efforts of Mumbai First, there was also a committee that was set up under the chairmanship of Percy Mistry, who actually gave a very detailed plan as to what Mumbai needs to do to become an international financial center. Mumbai seems to have lost out on that opportunity as well. It might be useful to talk about, and I know Mrs. Jagirdar is here today. She was one of those who was an active participant in that when the report was being prepared. So she can talk about what is it that we probably missed out and how we can make up for the lost time. But it's time for us to really look at what Mumbai needs to do. What is it that we need to drive to see that Mumbai becomes a preeminent city as far as its financial progress is concerned. And that is the fundamental reason why Mumbai First has been created. Let me just end with a little bit of the history about Mumbai. Mumbai, as we know, was not a city and then business grew around it. Actually, it was a business that came in first and then the city grew around business. It was initially the trade that happened because, and the name itself, as a lot of people say, the Bombay is probably the meaning of that in Portuguese means a good bay. And that good bay attracted a lot of businesses here in Mumbai for trade. So Mumbai became one of the preeminent trade centers. Then it became one of the major exporters of cotton. And the reason why this happened was because of the American Revolution. The cotton to England stopped coming during the time of American Revolution, and there was an alternative need for an alternative market to get created. So India became the exporter of cotton, and the exports happened from the ports of Mumbai. So it has a long history. Then textiles happened, then shipbuilding happened, as a result of which banking and finance got created. The media entertainment industry came up. That's the history of Mumbai. Mumbai's, and I always say this, that Mumbai's karma is actually to be the economic engine, not only for the state but for the country. That's the karma of Mumbai. I mean, that's the purpose for which Mumbai exists. And I think we've probably lost sight, we as citizens, we as those who are stakeholders of the city, lost sight of this fundamental reason why Mumbai exists. And we need to probably come back and see what needs to be done to bring that preeminence back as far as the city is concerned. So this is really an opportune time for us to think about it. We have an excellent panel here today. Neville has already introduced the panel, so I won't really go into the details of telling what they do. But I must also mention, I mentioned a few of you here, but I must also tell you that when I was at the Impro Awards, I was really pleasantly surprised to see how you value the economic costs of environmental damage, and how cities can try and mitigate those. So we are hoping to listen to hear some of that those ideas as well from you. So it's a very important day for us. A lot of these ideas would probably get commented upon tomorrow in the newspapers, and hopefully the policymakers would listen to those and take some of the discourse forward is what our expectation is. With that, I'm going to stop. I'm going to request Aarti to now take over and start the discussion. Thank you again.
Can you hear me? Yes, great. Thank you for that. And listening to those statistics, it feels like this question that's up here, is Mumbai still the economic powerhouse of India? It sounds like a definite no. And it feels like this conversation is going to be more of a post-mortem than a hopeful conversation. But maybe that will change, maybe your views are different. So first of all, let me start with just saying thank you to Mumbai First for inviting us, all of us as citizens, to participate in this very important discussion. And welcome to what promises to be a very interesting next hour. I'm going to take 5 minutes to set a little bit of context, and then I'll stop talking, I promise. But please bear with me for 5 minutes. So in addition to the statistics that we heard, over the last 75 years, I think it's very clear that the Indian dream has been very deeply intertwined with the Mumbai dream. And as we sit here having this conversation 75 years after independence, in the backdrop of India's G20 presidency and her global aspirations, where India wants to lead for the world, not just domestically, with the sea link lit up and the roads not jammed here, but I expected them to be solidly jammed with G20 delegations coming into the city. I think what we fundamentally need to ask ourselves today is what do we need to do to ensure that the India-Mumbai story, which has been intertwined over the last 75 years, doesn't decouple over the next 75 years. And we seem to be at an inflection point today. And as I was trying to prepare for this panel, I asked myself, what are the key ingredients of a robust economic nerve center? Talent, institutions, corporate activity, infrastructure. And today, in a world where we've hit social and environmental tipping points, in addition to this, there are two other elements that we have to manage for, and those are climate change and equity. So the questions that we'll dig into with this absolutely amazing panel over the next hour are on talent and corporate activity. To start with, as I said, for decades, Mumbai dream has been the Indian dream. It's been immortalized in ink and in film. And walking through Mumbai is a little bit like walking through a museum of the Indian entrepreneurial spirit. At every corner, the landscape is dotted with the business and philanthropic imprints of big business houses. And Mumbai First itself, of course, is a great example that was born out of corporate India's initiative to partner with the government. But the history of Mumbai barely starts at the big business houses. It belongs to the small entrepreneurs. And it also belongs to the millions that come here in search of livelihood and live in, honestly, squalid, barely human conditions. And these are the same millions that walked hundreds of kilometers back to their homes during the lockdown. But what is Mumbai going to look like over the next 75 years? Does it have the capacity to absorb the aspirations of New India? Is it the first choice of the new startup entrepreneur? Has its real estate priced itself out of competition with cities like Bangalore and Gurgaon and Pune? And how can we enable infrastructure that provides not only jobs and employment, but equity to the millions of livelihood entrepreneurs that come to the city? So that's on talent and corporate activity. On institutions. So India's global aspirations are reflected in Mumbai's aspiration to become an international financial center. We'll talk about that with Dr. Jagirdar. Along the lines of Singapore, it has Asia's oldest stock exchange. Some of the top financial institutions in the world, a very trusted regulator. I also came across a fascinating article which talked about Mumbai's history as an international financial center several centuries ago, when it used to manage the monetary policies of geographical regions such as the UAE, what is currently the UAE, Bahrain, Qatar, Oman. And in fact, it was the first official currency in circulation in those areas, which is the rupee of Bombay, was first struck in the Bombay Mint in 1677. So fast forward several centuries to today, Is the dream of Mumbai someday becoming a Singapore or a Dubai viable, retaining that position that it had several centuries ago? And what's it really going to take? Now coming to infrastructure, the Economist Intelligence Unit Global Livability Index ranked Mumbai in the bottom 20 out of 140 cities on infrastructure based on healthcare, stability, infrastructure, education. As was already mentioned, going back to history, natural infrastructure played a very important role in making Mumbai an economic center. Bombay means good bay in Portuguese, as we heard, making Mumbai a nerve center for global supply chains of the past. And again, fast forwarding to the present, leaping across the construction zone that we live in, that is Mumbai. Is it possible for Mumbai's infrastructure to capture any part, for example, of the global supply chain opportunity that we see today because of the de-risking of and diversification of global integrated supply chains? So one of the key questions that we need to ask ourselves, in addition to the views on infrastructure that we all have as citizens who live here, is how do we align that development of that infrastructure with equity, with preserving our natural capital, and by taking into account the realities of climate change, right? So with all of these questions that we're going to be talking about over the next few hours, let's actually jump in. First, just very quick opening remarks. Maybe just 1 minute each from all of you on, is Mumbai still the economic powerhouse of India? Why don't we start with you, Dr. Jagirdar?
Let me just respond to one. Yeah, is this all right? Yes. I'll just begin by saying, responding to what Sanjay just said. As India's GDP grows from now 3.8 trillion to 5 trillion to 10 trillion and above, it is very natural that we will have many more cities coming up as economic powerhouses. And I think we should welcome that and not be worried about it. And also there's a World Bank report which says that of the top 30 cities, fastest growing 30 cities in the world, 10 are in India. So I think these are very good signs for us. And so as you rightly said, it is Mumbai's karma to be the financial capital, to be the financial hub. And nobody's going to take that away. But of course, we need to do a little bit of pulling up our bootstraps. And I think we will get back to it. So I'm very positive. And I think Mumbai is still the economic powerhouse and it can get even better.
So that's one yes.
Thank you very much. This is a very kind of question which is 50-50 according to me. It depends on how you define the economic powerhouse. Like if you look at the statistics, like Maharashtra actually contributes 20% of the GDP to the country. So it's obviously, and Mumbai is a major center in Maharashtra. So and the per capita income, if you look at, is around $23,000 US, which is almost 10 times higher than that of the per capita across the Indian average. So definitely that way, if you look at it, yes, we are doing really well compared to the rest of the people in the country. I mean, we are also like developing very fast. Like you see so much of projects which are being, which are underway, like especially the transportation projects, the infrastructure projects are being developed rapidly. Obviously that will contribute to the GDP, there is no doubt about it. But the kind of question is now whether are we asking this question, is this an economic powerhouse or are we talking about the economically prosperous house? There is a difference between prosperity and being a powerhouse. Prosperity is something which is long term, like if I'm able to sustain myself for a period of time and also taking care of a good quality of life, then we say that we are economically prosperous. I think probably we are actually aiming at a wrong thing. Like we should, in fact, ask this question: are we economically doing? Prosperous, right? That's what we should actually aim at. And comparing the statistics with Delhi being, I think we are all going on in a wrong metric. Maybe I'll just touch upon that a little later. So yeah.
So we have to start measuring different things when we say powerhouse.
You know, whenever I look at anyone saying whether Mumbai is economically going to be better in future or development-wise, or a powerhouse, I just ask a simple question. Whoever may be the most handsome or the most beautiful person in the college, the person who has most friends is the person who I think is more popular and likely to grow or have friends. You ask any citizen in India, which is the city which is of your dream, and they think Mumbai. Every year we see people coming to Mumbai. The difference is, are we prepared to take on so much incoming load? And that is where I think Mumbai has got a development plan, which is the Mumbai Metropolitan Region, MMR. Mumbai's infrastructure is growing. The problem is that Aarti rightly pointed out, is that we are making it only for the rich. We are trying to say we'll have cars passing by through the freeway and through the Trans-Harbour Link and Sea Link, etc. We are not talking of the bottom of the pyramid. Mumbai also, at the same time, has the largest slums of any city in the country. Those people are the people where the government and the other people should look at supporting. You are going to give them some benefit, direct benefit you are talking of putting in the account. I think having local passes and train tickets at a cheaper level is benefiting the real people who are interested in it. We require a large workforce which has to stay. As she mentioned, real estate prices are very high. All across the world, in fact, some of the people in US today also doing PhD on how government provides subsidized housing so that more and more people can live. You require drivers, you require housemaids, you require employees at a lower level. If they don't have housing and they don't have travel at a cheaper place, if this place, as Dr.Haripriya said, if this city is not livable, you are not going to like it. Yet I can tell you, India is so bad otherwise in terms of livability. Like you don't have a hospital or a doctor, a bank, or 24 hours power anywhere, except maybe Mumbai, that people flock here. I don't think that's going to change. It's not going to change. You ask today's G20 summit, the first port of landing that they did was Mumbai. Everyone wants to be Mumbai. In fact, Mumbai's total budget is higher than many of the states here. Unfortunately, we have other problems like if we don't pay income tax in time, there is a certain penalty attached to it just for filing the income tax return. The center or the union government and the state governments have to work together. If today we have implemented GST, we should set a timeline. If the government collects so much money that should be transferred to the states, then the states will go. Also, the cities are not benefiting because the states control it. In the Mumbai Municipal Corporation, there is a structure where the Mumbai Municipal Commissioner is there. I think lots of things have to be relaxed to touch upon, and I think all the other panelists will touch upon. But Mumbai has the love of the country. Mumbai will grow. The economic hub will grow. As she pointed out, we require other cities to go up. The problem is, should we replace one with the other? Or should we make things where Bombay is a financial capital, okay, you want a manufacturing hub? Most of the manufacturing industries have shifted from Mumbai to Pune, Thane, etc. region. We have to plan. And I think that plan is missing. We have to do something about it. Thank you.
So that's a maybe a qualified yes. Okay, it's a qualified yes, and that's then in addition to your opening remark, it's also the perfect segue into asking you about your opinion. So first, your opinion on whether this is true or not, and second is that you were a co-author of the Mumbai First report in 2003, which is Vision Mumbai. And I've been asked to push you a little bit on, that had certain goals to be met by 2013, turn Mumbai into a world-class city. Now we're sitting in almost 2023, 10 years later, and clearly it is not a world-class city. So what were some of the hits? What did we get right? What did we miss?
That's a pretty deep question which could take perhaps an hour to answer, but I know there's only a couple of minutes. I'll just first comment on some of the things I heard and just put a little bit more numbers. For example, Mumbai currently around $160 billion of GDP, okay, 160, 170. And at a decent rate, it will be around 250 to 275 billion by 2030. The reason only I'm mentioning these numbers is 250 billion or 275 billion is bigger than most countries in the world. I'm not talking about Mumbai being, okay? It's bigger than Malaysia, Thailand, Portugal. Okay, so I will come back to this notion because it's not about beating our chest to say we are bigger, because bigger is not necessarily better. But when we come then to the governance, funding, and institutional mechanisms that we talked about, economy that was also in population as well as GDP. I'm not just talking about GDP and population. Okay? These type of centers are bigger than many countries around the world, and therefore they need to be run differently. And that was the focus of the Vision Mumbai report. And I would say that some things are ahead since then. While we still criticize the Mumbai infrastructure, I was pleasant. I'll first give the hits, okay, couple of them, right? Because it's important, and then we'll talk about it. I was very pleasantly surprised, based on our recommendations, that a comprehensive transport plan was made in 2006, 2007. And I can tell you that I have been traveling to all cities, Bangalore especially, and then no city has a comprehensive transport plan. That time we said Mumbai needs 13 metro corridors, not just roads. Of course, roads is important. Mumbai was 80 to 85% public transport. Most people don't know that. Okay? And most other cities are 70% car transport. Mumbai is 85% public. So we are building from an area of strength, right? So one hit was definitely the comprehensive transport plan and some work around that. Okay? It happened in different chief ministers. I wouldn't talk about where we got traction, where we didn't get traction. I have myself and Sanjay also and Mr. Nair have gone through at least 7 chief ministers, and I'll come to the chief minister versus the mayor equivalence here, but 7 chief ministers, out of that 2 or 3 actually did some work, the other 5 didn't, but that then you see up and down based on that, right? But comprehensive transport plan and putting real money in Mumbai infrastructure, especially transportation infrastructure, I will call a hit. Okay, not a miss. Even though we'll complain profusely about dug roads, this, that. The metro corridors are coming, a number of linkages that we are talking about. And I'll come to the economic powerhouse. The reason it is important is Sanjay gave the example of Delhi, right? But he actually didn't mean Delhi. He meant NCR. NCR is not even Delhi, it's a state called Haryana. I mean, do you know what is powering Delhi today? It's Noida and Gurgaon. Okay, not the main city of. And Gurgaon, because of the lower real estate price, actually part of Haryana, right? But and I won't say it's economically the best planned city, but when a sub-city gets developed near a major metropolitan center, it's just powerful. Okay, and I'll come for some of the lessons from that. But so I would say comprehensive transportation plan and the infrastructure is one of the hits. I would say the biggest miss are on 2 fronts, and I'll talk more about it. One is the economic master plan. I always say economic master plan before physical master plan. When we talk about master plan, we think about housing, roads, this thing. No. First, where are the jobs going to come from? Where are people going to live? How long do they have to travel to work, even in the work from home era? And I remember, and just 30 seconds detour, there was a very old planner once, I think Mumbai First only brought from Singapore. He was 80-year-old, okay? And he said when he started the Singapore master plan, it was a 50-year plan, okay? First for a population of 2 million, and prepared for 11 million population. Of course, in Mumbai's comparison, it's less. But how systematically, where will jobs get created? How will people have to travel? And so on. Okay, the economic master plan was amazing. Okay, so I always say the economic master plan before physical master plan. I don't see an economic master plan in MMR. Okay, I'm not saying it's there in Delhi, but Gurgaon sort of came out of it and became the IT and the startup center because of low real estate prices. So that's, I would say, a big miss. And the second big miss is the institutional miss. Today, to talk about Mumbai, we still talk about the chief minister, but chief minister is a state head. Give me one leader from Mumbai, name. Do you even know the mayor's name in Mumbai? Most people won't, right? I'm just saying, and whereas in New York you will have a Rudy Giuliani, the whole mayoral concept, which even a parliamentary democracy like London made happen for a MMR region, has not still taken place in India. A country, a city of the size of a country, GDP and population, wouldn't it need a strong governance mechanism to run the city, right? One, chief minister equivalent, right? Anyway, so I'll talk about it. So the institutional mechanism has not been put there, right? And as well as the economic master plan is not there. These are the two big misses, okay? And I will say actually the physical infrastructure and some implementation of that is a hit. I'm sure there are many hits and misses, but I'll put the big ones here. I'll stop.
Okay. I will come back to you later on what you feel that economic master plan should look like. I think that's a very important question. But speaking of infrastructure, I want to come to Dr. Gundimeda because cities like Mumbai, when we're planning our infrastructure, building a coastal road, for example, in an era of climate change, we are incredibly vulnerable to climate change. And in fact, Dr. Sankhe in a report talks about how climate change is going to cost Mumbai 920 billion, and that by 2050, 60% of the city will be affected by floods. 3 million people living within a kilometer of the coastline are in severe threat. So now the good news, if we can call it that, is that as Egypt hosted COP27, Mumbai became the first Indian city to actually be added to the A list in the annual cities report published by the CDP, the Carbon Disclosure Project, based on the climate action plan that it released in 2022, where it aims to reach carbon neutrality by 2050. But so far, this is a plan, just 2022. So, Dr. Gundimeda, question to you, is this plan, what's that gap between the plan and the reality? How do we, what do we need to do to plan, keeping in mind this reality of climate change? What does that mean for what we need to do?
Yeah, this is what I should say is, okay, you have a plan. Now, do we have actionable indicators? Now, I can make a plan, that's not the issue. I can make a very comprehensive plan, but how much? So, I mean, our outcomes, how are we measuring our outcomes? That becomes very important. And even like the smart cities, and you hear these news like, so and so is a smart city, they have won the smart city award. But what kind of indicators are we talking about? If you look at Mumbai, like 2022, but look at the air quality in last 1 week. Now, so, I mean, I have a plan, but then I see the air quality is very bad. Now, I say, like, when I talk about carbon neutrality, achieving carbon neutrality, and when you talk about the green infrastructure, we talk about even the environment, we only focus on carbon. But that's not the right indicator alone, right? Carbon dioxide is just one thing, right? But then there are also other indicators that we need to look at, the sanitation, there is water, kind of air quality that we breathe. Even if you remember, there is this Bombay plan, which was drawn in 1944, several of the industrialists. I think even Tata and they were given G.D. Birla was involved. And at that point of time, they made this report and they have identified that each and every individual requires at least 3,000 cubic feet of fresh air in a day. So, now where is that air? Like, are we able to provide that kind of air to our citizens? No. We can't even breathe out. I mean, we can't even just get out of the houses, right? We can't roll down our, even if I want to be like climate friendly or carbon friendly, I can't roll down my windows in the car when I travel because I know that the pollution is going to impact me. So that's a sad reality. So we are making these reports very, so we have very technical reports, we make very good plans, but at least basically we need to do something like a back end, like maybe if you have made a plan in 2010, how much of those indicators did we achieve? If we can actually backdate it and check how much of those were implementable, what were the achievements, and what were the outcomes that we have monitored. That's a very important thing that we need to actually look at. So then we know where we fall short of. I mean, now, so other important thing that I see here is, do you see any greenery in the, you mentioned about climate change and the risk and what kind of, I mean, we talk about having a technology which would suck in air pollutants in the city, like, at various centers. But then are we not, why are you not talking about planting a tree? It's a very simple thing. A child can do that. Are there any green spaces in Mumbai other than the Sanjay Gandhi? But that's also under a great threat, right? because all eyes are there on, like, okay, you have that land which can be grabbed, and you might think of very interesting projects which are coming up. So that's basically my whole notion of development and how you define development, what kind of indicators are you thinking of. All these are something that we should all think through. Yeah.
Actually, I'd like to ask you a second question around that. So, if policymakers, now since we're talking about actionable insights from here, if policymakers need to, so far the argument seems to be mostly a moral one, right? But policymakers need more than that, they need data. And in fact, you have just completed a very, very interesting project, a landmark project where you valued the Sanjay Gandhi National Park at something like 15 lakh crore. And this is very powerful because it gives data and very strong arguments in the hands of policymakers to be able to incorporate this into their decision making, right? So could you tell us a little bit about that project that you did? What does it really mean? How do you value? What does that mean, 15 lakh crore? What are the components of that? And what are the implications for policy making?
Yeah, so if you look at the forest as an ecosystem, especially the green spaces, what we do not know is that they provide many ecosystem services, like fresh air especially. And they also clean up, they act as this scrubbing, they actually remove a lot of particulate matters, right? And they also, like, if you don't have Sanjay Gandhi National Park, where are we going to provide the Mumbai the water supply? We have 2 lakes there. They are actually acting as a buffer zone, they are actually storing water for us. Otherwise, you need to create new projects somewhere else, but those new projects cannot be guaranteed that they would be like you had good water quality, because you need the trees to act as a catchment area, right? In addition, Mumbaikars do not have free space. It's like they live in 500 to 600 square feet of houses. Now they do not. There is no privacy absolutely, as you rightly mentioned. It's like the projects, like the ceiling projects, are all for the rich. If you think of a common man, they are actually living in 400 to 500 square feet with absolute no privacy. They don't have anything, no recreational activities for them. And most of these people actually use the park for the recreation, whatever the area has been opened up is used for recreation. Now, if you try and quantify all the services that the park provides to the society in terms of the air quality, in terms of the recreational support that they provide, the water provision services, the air quality, and then also the value of the biodiversity that this particular park provides to the society, in addition to the spillovers, like even the houses which are in the vicinity of the national park, they are actually benefiting from good views and scenic views. But it's the builders who actually get the majority of that premium, right? Because they are the ones who sell that, saying that a garden view, park view, and whatever. But then the park officials do not get that revenue. So what I did is to try and quantify all these using various non-market techniques, but then which also make use of the existing markets. For example, if for recreational facility, I use a methodology called as travel cost method, because if I go to the park, I'm spending a lot of expenditure, and that is going somewhere in the society, right? If that would not have been, then maybe I would not have spent that. So it's there in the society, and there is also the entry fee, and though that's not a right way to quantify the value of the park, the entry fee would not reflect. So that's the reason why I quantified all the expenditures the visitors are incurring, and then we estimated a demand curve, and we looked at what is it that Mumbai is gaining. Similarly, hedonic prices, what is the premium that the prices the houses are getting because of the view to the park. And the residents also mentioned that they are getting actually fresh air and they value that, right? So in addition, the air quality also we looked, actually, luckily at the time of COVID, we had this 100% lockdown, which would never have happened in the city of Mumbai, right? And quantifying the air pollution services is especially very difficult because we do not have that kind of data. But at that time, when there was 100% lockdown, and gradually we could actually model how much are the parks actually in the green areas, what is the level of pollution, because we looked at the data, pollution data at different monitoring centers, and then we looked what is the pollution in these like green areas, and we then realized that green areas do scavenge a lot of pollutants, and what are the technological alternatives? Like in Delhi, the toxic gases, you have those 8 filtration units kept in different places, scrubbers, even China has this It's never get, right? It's a very expensive proposition, right? You need annual maintenance costs and so there's a lot of expenditure. But if you think of natural infrastructure like forests, the greeneries, which is already there, they are actually, this is an avoidance cost. They're already doing so much of services. So all of these we have quantified, and we also looked at the existence values to the society in the sense of Mumbaikars are willing to conserve this land, every inch of the land, and they said that they would be willing to pay so much per square feet to actually conserve this park till perpetuity. So if you add up all these values, we really got this 15 lakh crores as asset value for this.
Fascinating. Can you hear me? Yes. Absolutely fascinating. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to switch tacks a little bit and come to you, Dr. Jagirdar. So, as was also mentioned, that one of the major drivers in, I think 60% of the world is going to be living in urban areas, and one of the major drivers of a city's growth is banking and financial services. So you were involved in this report that is colloquially called the Percy Mystery report. How has so tell us a little bit about what those recommendations were. Why weren't they implemented? And should we hold any kind of aspiration for Mumbai? I mean, we're talking about Mumbai competing with a Bengaluru or a Gurgaon or a Noida. But are we ever going to be able to compete with a Dubai or a Singapore? Should we still have those aspirations?
Yes, we should have those aspirations because we can do it. You asked, just let me make one comment about slums since that was mentioned. The problem is not with the slums. The problem, I think, is with the way the real estate market is controlled, managed, and the way it is in India and particularly in Mumbai. If you see the slums, you can see from each rooftop, you'll find antennas sticking out. They all have TVs, they all have fridge, and it's just that they don't have any proper living space, that's all. And I think that's where work needs to be done. If you go to Dharavi, there's no lack of entrepreneurship there. You can see so many small units over there thriving. So I think that's what we need to look at. How is it that we can build this up further? As you mentioned, we do need people for all kinds of services. So let us give them also, let us see how they are also able to. So I think the whole problem is with the real estate market. And if you ask me why the Percy Mystery recommendations were not implemented, I have no answer for that because I think others better prepared would be able to answer. Now, what the committee said or did was, I think it went to one extreme. They said just full routine convertibility, completely free up everything, free up the banks, 100% for investment in bonds, things like that. So I think they went to one extreme because it's very important to have restriction, regulation, risk management, and governance. So all this together, I think that was missing. Now I'll give you one example of banking, for example, when they said that I agree, we need reforms in the banking sector, we need the sector to be freed up. So, but they were, like I said, they went to an absolute one extreme. China doesn't have capital account convertibility, but yet look at where they are and look at where their currency is. So the problem is not with those kind of recommendations, but the problem is how it's implemented. But what I was trying to say was in the banking sector, for example. Now, yes, we need to have reforms. You can see we had 27 public sector banks and today we have 12. So it's gradual and we are getting there. Among the top 100 banks in the world, the Banker UK brings out a survey every year, top 100 banks in the world. There was a time when the top 10 were Japanese, then the top 10 became Chinese. Even now, I think the Chinese bank dominate the top 10 positions. And we had only State Bank of India at that time among the top 100. Today, there are, I think, about 20 banks in that list, and State Bank of India is the top 50. We should move up much faster and much higher. So one of the things was that fine, we should give them national treatment. That's what the committee report said. And Reserve Bank said, yes, we're willing to do that, provided that you also listen to what, you follow our rules and what we have to say. So you become a wholly owned subsidiary, in which case you will come directly under the purview of the Reserve Bank of India. Did any bank opt for it? Yes. Did any bank opt for it? Not Citi, not Sanchar, not Deutsche, not any bank, except DBS, Singapore. That's the only bank which said, yes, we'll become a wholly owned subsidiary, and they have become. And look at the advantage that they have got. They are treated like any other bank, and they were allowed to take over a bank which was weak, failing, the Lakshmi Vilas Bank. And as a result, what happened? From about 20 odd branches, at one stroke, they got more than 500 branches. And here, Lakshmi Vilas Bank, which was weak and failing, got technology, got capital, and got global exposure. So I think that's the kind of partnership we need to look at. Building regulation, building reciprocity is important, building all this together, and not just blanket saying let them all come in and let them do what they want.
A lot of the recommendations that you've talked about, I actually have a second question for you. So a lot of what you've talked about, in a sense, applies in general to India. These are banking sector reforms. What is stopping Mumbai, in your opinion, from being able to be an international financial center?
Can we go back a little in history?
Yes, please. That would be
So, like what and how Mumbai has come to occupy this position. First of all, as everyone has mentioned, location is what gave it that advantage. Next came the railways, and railways connected the hinterland with the seaport, and so our exports grew, and this trade took off. Cotton and imports coming in from Europe is close to Suez Canal. So all this helped so infrastructure was a very important driver, and it still remains a very important driver even today. So I can see the infrastructure getting upgraded, which is a very, very heartening thing to see. It should have happened 50 years ago. Another thing that happened, which helped Mumbai, which brought Mumbai where it is, the communities. Everybody came into Mumbai. And so we had the Parsis, the Arabs, the Iranians, the Portuguese, the British, and everybody trading. So it was this trade which made Mumbai a throbbing trade, which gave it this life that it had. And going back further, in 1803, there was a big fire in Mumbai. And this fire, as a result of this, many houses got burnt down, and there was a lot of shortages coming in afterwards. And it was, the whole people left the city. So, but then the East India Company and the British had to get revenue. So what did they do? There were only about 20,000. I'm not sure if this number is right, but if I remember right, there were just about 20,000 people in Mumbai, and they needed more people. So they encouraged people to come in from outside, not just from India, but even from outside. And I believe the British, was the sailors or the army, or yes, they were given, say, 5-year tax holiday, and a lot of incentives and encouragement to come and settle in Mumbai. And I think that's what we are still doing, but we need to make sure, as you rightly said, we need to make sure that they have a good quality of life. Along with the textiles grew, the mills grew, and then the stock exchange, the cotton exchange, the bullion exchange, all this came on. So now we have more and more the regulators, and we have derivatives. And so we have, it's still growing over here in Mumbai. We just need to see how we can manage all this. So infrastructure, of course, is something which is of a big, big concern, and it's something which will only even accelerate economic development. And I would rate that as the number one issue. The second, I would say, is the quality of life. It's not just the economy and the thing. The life should be livable. So people want hospitals, schools, leisure, travel, sports. All that should be available and accessible. You have enough playgrounds for children. So we need to look at that also, and that I think will help us to compete with other countries like Dubai. And final thing I would say is governance. That's important.
So hearing infrastructure again and again. Let me come to you, Mr. Jadhav. Now, Mr. Sankhe has written this another report where he talks about how large companies with revenues exceeding 500 billion, and I'm going to come to you next, Mr. Sankhe, to ask about that, have been drivers of economic growth in India. And they're 2.3 times more productive than medium-sized companies. Obviously, the stock exchanges and the BSE played a very important enabling role in that. And the BSE is obviously the oldest stock exchange in Asia. Apparently, it started with 5 people under a banyan tree in 1850s. 1875, in front of the Mumbai town hall. Tell us also, from your point of view, a little bit of the history and what is it going to take, again, for Mumbai to become a globally leading financial center.
Regarding the history, let me tell you, when we used to read Chandamama at home, when we used to read Chandamama at home, we used to know that the traders would trade and make lots of money. That's what started in any port city. So all the exchanges you see, they're in the port city. There would be real traders. There were people who understood, okay, this is a port city, if the traders are making money, I can give him the money with lesser risk. I'm not traveling the seas, I'm not going to meet the pirates or get looted, but with lesser risk, I also can make money. That's how the equity markets and the exchanges started. So Bombay did have lots of advantages. In fact, it's still the world's largest exchange. There are also certain things that one should look at. The large companies don't form overnight. There are small companies that grow into large. So the world has changed. India still has more than 45% of the companies' revenues coming from the small and medium sector. They do the exports. MSME is a very large thing, and BSE has supported. In fact, it's one of the largest MSME exchanges in India. They have to grow. Second is, nowadays people talk about not getting jobs. Unemployment is a little higher than required because lots of people graduate. In fact, we add almost one whole population of Australia every year to the employment pool. So employment being scarce, and people realize that nowadays we can go to startup and tech hubs, etc. Bombay is a startup and tech hub across the country. In fact, if you ask anyone, Bombay is the number one right now, and Hyderabad, Bangalore, Pune is trying to catch up. Or rather, they may catch up faster. One is because, as everyone is explaining, Mumbai's real estate prices are high, which is why the subsidized housing for the poor is necessary. Earlier, Maharashtra Sidco used to do that. Today, they are competing with the builders to rate their projects also similarly and price the same. So there is no advantage. The builders also, because they incur lots of cost below the table and above the table, that they keep the prices very high. In fact, they only build, if you look at the numbers of flats that are built for richer people versus lower people, you look at the per capita income in Mumbai or the income that people have, there is a problem of housing. Besides housing, most of the things are very, very well done here. There is a land scarcity which, if the MMR region grows, in fact, if you see every weekend, if we create more links to the outside world with Bombay, you will see, like in the US, where every city people who work, they go outside. The life outside is very good. So they work very hard for 5 days and they work there. Second part, the number of listed companies, when they become large, they start, the amount of people working with them goes lower for the same amount of revenue. It's because they achieve economies of scale. So when the startups, the tech companies or the SMEs are there, the employment will be high. As they become larger, the number of people employed with them will become lower. But they will add more to the productivity. Mumbai will become more and more economic hub. Luckily, and I would say not luckily, but because Maharashtra has worked hard, the Mumbai being a city center, most of the regions around it has become an economic hub. They have lots of factories and other services providers. And Mumbai being a port, like if Mumbai has gone down and the Bombay Port Trust is going down, JNPT has taken over. In fact, one of the largest ports in India. If the rich people stay in Mumbai, the poor will also stay. If the rich companies or large companies are here, the poor also will stay because employment generation. Then if so many people are there, you will have hotels, you will have restaurants, you will have taxis, all those things. So Mumbai will grow large. Plus, luckily, when the Britishers were here, we built the railways. The railways are the fastest and no problem mode of transport in Mumbai. Delhi got metro later. The prices in metro, though Sankhe mentioned, the metro is there, the prices in metro are very high. I talk to the proper people and they say 40 rupees and 50 rupees per trip is going to be a difficult thing for them. And metro will only solve the problem of east-west linkage, or where the linkages are not there, people like us who will help. But otherwise, I think transportation is a key thing. She also mentioned about livability. I can tell you, living in a slum may be more enjoyable by the people who stay there because they don't know the outside world. If they see the outside world, they will know how the other world, like when Ola and Uber came into Bombay or India, people realized what it means to travel in an AC cab. The cab costs don't really go up. And that pulled up because there are lots of services that you get in Mumbai which you will not get anywhere. I think economic development will happen. You require stability. We hear about some projects going out of Maharashtra or Mumbai. One of the main reasons is there is no political stability. In fact, as we talk right now, there is also a report on jailed for doing something wrong, like labor laws. Every day, approximately 18 laws are amended. And every person who is doing business in India is worried, will I be in jail? I think that is an aspect that someone has to look, but that's not specific to Mumbai. So the labor laws also required to change so that people grow larger.
Thank you. I'd like to come back to you later on. What do you see as the role of stock exchanges in this whole story? But coming to you, Mr. Sankhe, so we've heard a lot about, everyone's talked about the need to create jobs. And even when we were talking before this panel, you talked about how that has been the mainstay of your work over the last decade. In fact, you, the McKinsey Global Institute released a very interesting report where you talk about creating 95 million non-farm jobs by, I think, 2030. Why is that? How are we going to go about that? And what do you see as the role of Mumbai in being able to enable that?
Yeah. So some numbers is good. You have read my reports quite well, it seems. So 90 million jobs is around 1 million jobs a month for India. Okay, so that's a good number to remember. Okay, for India as a whole. Currently, the job creation is around 400,000, which is 40% of what is required for all the people coming in, right? I think Mumbai has an extraordinarily important role to play, and I don't want to call economic powerhouse means only the financial center. It is a financial center, it will continue to stay the financial center. I'll come to some of the financial center related jobs. But if you look at Mumbai, it's sort of a combination of Singapore, Dubai, Los Angeles, and New York, right? If you look at it. So I won't talk about financial centers. What else is Mumbai known for? You know, just say, what is the one industry that comes which is unique to Mumbai? Huh? Yeah, media and entertainment. Just look at that, okay? I mean, Los Angeles the number of jobs Los Angeles created on entertainment industry. Studios you go to, both tourism as well as so on, right, is enormous. And how much we have actually driven the studios out of Mumbai, you know, right? So that's what I call economic master plan. Economic master plan to say Mumbai's population, let's say, is 22 million MMR now. It will grow to 33. Out of that, let's say the 90 million jobs India requires, which is a 1 million a month. Let's say Mumbai is going to create 100,000. I'm just throwing a number, 150,000. Where are they going to come from? Mumbai has natural strengths. Okay, one strength is entertainment. Now, how you have to have a holistic plan, and people do that for a living. This is not rocket science. It's done all over the world. Let's say entertainment. You'll say, okay, this will be the hub. X, Y, Z, Andheri, Jogeshwari, this, that. This is the studio land required. This is the housing required around that. That requires affordability. Therefore, FSI needs to be high. Maybe incentives need to be given. So many jobs need to be created. The workers will come from outside, all that. It's very easy to plan. Economic master plan is not a rocket science, but we don't have the institutional mechanism as well to actually do an economic master plan as a city. It's done very routinely all over the world, right? And so I'm connecting it. So I mentioned entertainment, right? Let's talk about manufacturing. Okay, we think manufacturing doesn't belong to Mumbai. That's not true. I will just say that especially, and I'm not talking about. Don't think about the city. Take the Naina area and take the port. Okay, I think an electronic manufacturing, which is Apple. Do you know how many vendors of Apple are there in China, which are above $1 billion? Just vendors of Apple. Okay, there are 4,000 vendors that are above $1 billion. Okay, which are there in China. Okay, let's have 50 Apple vendors, which is all the iPhones that we use and the Samsungs and so on. My sense is that electronic manufacturing, which is going from 80 billion of imports to 250 billion of import, that can be a hub. I'm just giving that as, I'm not saying anybody has thought about it. With the port connectivity, with the railway connectivity, with a little bit of land, which is now the Trans Harbour Link provides, you can be a big center for electronic manufacturing. Let's take healthcare. When we looked at Mumbai, by the way, amazingly had the best healthcare system in the country. Okay, and part of it is because of the free public hospitals. I mean, it's an amazing gift. I mean, the type of medical care, and I know we just routinely ignore it because I'm sure that you go to the hospital now, but the quality of medical care is very, very high. The whole medical tourism plus healthcare jobs, Mumbai can be a big, big center. Okay, because again, there's a great international airport, you can come in, there's a new airport coming in, and so on. I just gave 3 of the job creating, and if you just think it through, it requires A, B, C, it requires this much land, this type of affordability, these many people, these many jobs. You create that from the state government, you put some incentives, there's that, and it's done. Done means, and then you need to provide a transportation connectivity. The physical master plan comes after the economic master plan. You don't first put a railway line and say, okay, now I'm going to put some jobs there, right? You first put the jobs first, and then build the infrastructure, including the housing infrastructure that you talk about, especially affordable housing. So what I'm saying is that, and let me tell one other industry, right? You take tourism and you think Mumbai has no tourism potential, right? And I'm not now going to debate whether we'll go to Elephanta Caves or we'll go to Gateway of India, but you take the cruise tourism potential. Okay? It has this thing. I mean, Dubai, Singapore, and so on, has a huge cruise tourism industry. I was in Vancouver recently. Every hour there were 3 ships sailing to Alaska and so on. I'm just giving that as an example. Okay, I'm not saying. So again, tourism is a huge potential. So if you just and for that, all you need is the eastern part of the thing, and then when the tourists come in, you need to do. Mumbai, India has only 7 million, 8 million foreign tourists. Phuket has 30 million, right? So again, job creation. So if you think just job creation, just get economic plan backward, and then put the infrastructure around it, including the affordability index. It's a very, very doable thing. But this critical institutional mechanism, I just talked about economic master plan. I'm not talking about anything. There are many other things missing. But just the economic master planning mechanism, job creation, associated infrastructure, incentives, and so on. If you think about it in an integrated way, I think Mumbai can be a big powerhouse. Because nobody else has sport, nobody has entertainment, nobody has this tourism potential. So I'm just saying that whether Delhi is ahead or not doesn't matter. It can be a big economic powerhouse.
Thank you. How are we doing on time? Doing alright? Another 5 minutes. Okay. So before we come to final recommendations, because there should be something actionable that we can take away, I want to open it up to the audience for a few questions. So, does anyone want to ask a question? Alright. This gentleman here, is there somebody who is handing around a mic?
Hello. My name is Dr. Haripriya. I represent a group of non-government organizations working in Mumbai. I straight away go to my friend Sanjay Ubale. Way back, he was not termed as a poster boy of Mumbai's development plan. When somebody spoke about Mumbai is nothing but slum. I agree with Madam, that about Dharavi project is still dragging. I don't know, maybe Ubale sir can throw some light why it is not developed. It is a real, a startup for Mumbai to change. My question to the panel member, including the IIT professor, who spoke about green belt. Yes, we need to do that one. But issue is who is going to belt the black cat. This is what I want to. See, we relocated 52,000 families who were encroached on railway land, both the places. It took us 11 years. Sorry,
so I just want to just request everyone to just keep the question short and pointed. Just please do have the conversation offline, just so that we can get as many questions as possible.
So this is how it can be done. This is what I agree with. But who is going to belt the pack?
Is it
Dr. Sanjay Jadhav can, because he is a very, very passionate for people to get low-cost housing. Low-cost housing can be. Chicago has changed.
Maybe you answer it. Even though we are on the call.
Any other question?
Your question is difficult to answer, I guess. So, please.
Housing, if the question was on housing, we looked at it in great detail, by the way. Okay, and economics exists to have 2 million affordable homes in Mumbai. Okay, that requires a combination of infrastructure, FSI, incentives, very high stamp duties currently, and so on and so on. And it's a big economic driver. Okay, so it is possible to create, and also don't think again Mumbai means Varli Prabhat Nariman point. Okay, it's the hinterland which we call the MMR area. It is possible to have a 3,000, 4,000 rupees per square foot housing. And personally, I'm not worried about the 500 square foot houses. Hong Kong houses are 250 square foot, very nicely designed and so on, right? But what I'm saying is that well-designed housing is possible, and the economics in Mumbai exists, okay, if it is decided to solve it.
I'll just give one more example from the finance side. In fact, UPI is free today. You can do payment transfers very easily, transactions. It is because the government has made it zero cost to customers like us. What is the total cost of running it? Maybe 2,000-3,000 crores. And for the government, it's not very high. Same way, there are lots of incentives that we can give. For instance, BST, which is also considered another lifeline of Mumbai.
Yeah.
When the prices were got at 5 rupees and 6 rupees in an AC bus, I think the world changed. BST no longer talks about why people don't travel in it. It's just a matter of subsidizing for the poor, because rich people are not going to go. See, today theatres are there. We are also a large entertainment hub. We have a large film industry. People don't go to theatres because the poor cannot afford it, and rich don't have time or don't want to go to the theatre because they can see it in their own home theatres. So my request is always that if this economic hub has to go, the funding has to be there. The government has to understand what is the funding. Like Dharavi mentioned, it has got lots of political angles to it. If the political stability is there, most of the projects go through it. Unfortunately, Maharashtra has seen lots of political upheavals, and I think that will change over time. We have to look forward to getting all of them together. Thank you.
Thank you. One more, I think we can take one more question.
Yeah, thank you. So my name is Anuja Kulkarni. I'm working with RBI in Statistics Department. So I'm very happy to join this session. Thank you very much for insightful thoughts. My question is, basically I'm born and brought up in Girgaon, and I've seen from my childhood that many chawls or the many small buildings are being redeveloped under the reconstructions by many small or big builders. So my question is that when we are talking about sustainability and going green, there is a huge scope in while making these plans at higher level. So when these plans are getting passed, we see that many of these reconstructed buildings or areas are constructed without any planning, or we can even figure it out by bare eyes that this particular tower was redeveloped without no plan. So what initiatives we can take to create a better plans, while because we still see that there are many redevelopments which are pending, which are stuck in court cases, which are stuck due to a lot of reasons around the similar political wills and all. So how can we make more plans that will have sustainable living for people who are living in those areas, and at the same time we are able to achieve the better living for society around.
Is there anyone in particular that you would like to answer this?
That is open for all.
Open for. Let's take another 2 questions and then we'll answer it together.
Mr. Sankhe mentioned about how Gurgaon and Noida is powering up Delhi as a center. Now, when we talk about Mumbai, there is a tendency that Mumbai is Mumbai city. How the satellite towns of Mumbai like Thane, Kalyan, Dombivli, and all those small centers can actually be empowered to power up the potential of Mumbai. So how we can do that is the question.
Okay. One last question from this lady here, and then we'll stop.
Hi, I'm Nandini Dice. The question is, when manufacturing reduced in Mumbai, it affected Mumbai as an economic powerhouse quite a bit. Now there's talk of shifting or reducing the port activity in Mumbai and also the diamond trade, which is looking at going out. What do you think will be the impact that we will face? And
One more. Okay. So, can you just repeat? So, what is the impact that what?
what is the impact that will happen on Mumbai? Because they are both, the port is a huge, and we spoke about the importance of port for last 500 years, 1,000 years. What will be the impact? And both, so industries like the diamond industry, which is shifting out, and there are a number of them. So what do you think will be the impact on Mumbai?
Okay. One last question.
So, hi, good evening. My question was in sync with Ms. Nandini. I've just tried to make it more specific.
Sorry, I can't see where you are.
Sorry.
Alright,
Yeah, sorry. So, the Surat diamond bourse has almost taken 90% of the BDP, the Bharat diamond bourse, which is in Bombay, as of November 2022. And also the Mundra port has pipped the JNPT as one of the most active ports of the country. Now, political discourse aside, or the state differentiation aside, these are significant numbers. So, is that really a threat, or is it just something which is of short term?
Stop the questions. So, would anyone
Maybe I will just
take a few?
maybe somebody else next. Yeah, okay. Hello. Yeah. There were a number of questions on the economics and the operation of Mumbai, so I'll just take it together. Right? Restructuring of cities is a common topic elsewhere. We should not cry over a textile industry moving out, or even, I'll come to the diamond industry later. But that restructuring is common. It's to look at what are the new economic growth engines. Some of them are old, like entertainment, just continue to support. Financial services continue to support, and look at the new growth engine, right? And that's where I mentioned the 3-4 that are the newer growth engine. There are many others, okay? But I'm saying, and that's very, very common. I mean, even US has unemployment rate of 3%, okay? But so many jobs went out to China and so on. Instead of that, they just continued to restructure the economy into more services jobs, which is what will happen to Mumbai. So I'm not personally worried about restructuring of jobs, okay? That's fine. Provided we keep on creating new economic engines, which are there. Personally, I'm not worried about Surat, because Surat doesn't have Bollywood. I'm just giving that as an example. It's okay. Some diamond, maybe the incentives there are better. It's always good to learn from that, to say the diamond trade should stay in Mumbai. Again, economic master planning. If diamond industry and the jobs associated with it, you say what's required, what incentives, A, B, C, X, Y, Z, right? So it's a package that you create, industry by industry. So personally, I'm not worried. How Kalyan, Dombivli, Thane and the entire hinterland is a big area that I really would like to focus on, in addition to the immediate suburbs of Mumbai. I think huge potential, connected by infrastructure, do the economic, I'm repeating myself, do the economic master planning. There's a huge land area there, a new airport is coming, the Trans Harbour link is going to come, it's going to connect directly to Mumbai, this Mumbai-Pune expressway. There's a set of metro corridors that are planned. I think Mumbai is, on a positive note, set for real economic growth over the next 10 to 15 years if we do a bit of the work that we talk about.
International question that I'd like to have. Just one more, and then we continue with if anyone wants to ask it.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Bordeaux, Consul General of the Netherlands here in Mumbai. I heard a lot about the economic master plan, right? Just before the meeting, we talked a bit about the attractiveness of Mumbai as an economic hub. This was the whole conference is part, of course. But we also, I think Mr. Jadhav, you mentioned that manufacturing is attracted to Pune. We don't see, also if I look at international investments, we don't see that coming in Mumbai. So manufacturing is going over there. And another area which is of course a big influence of economic growth at the moment is the startup and IT sector. We see that, I don't see it happening in Mumbai so much. I see it happening in Bangalore and other cities in India. Don't you think it would be good if Mumbai, in its economic master plan that should be drawn up, would pay more attention to that, position itself as a let's say, an IT and startup hub? And how could that be achieved?
Can I add one small comment on it? IT industry we talked about. If I ask you what is the IT hub of India and all that, the answer is very simple, right? Do you know where the IT revolution started in the country? 23 kilometers from here. In Sips. We lost the track. I will not give all these reasons behind it. I will get very passionate about it. But that's where we started, okay?
So that's actually a really important question because we shouldn't be in denial about that. When you think of where is the new entrepreneurial talent going, where are the startups hub, it's not Mumbai. No young person.
Can I just answer Shankar's question, because I know he was the one guy who was also part of starting the whole IT industry here. I was also a part then. Bombay still is an IT hub, but as he also is aware, Bangalore, Pune and Hyderabad are competing. One of the main reasons is the young guys want to live a free life, a cheap life. They get less salary. Bombay has been unable to give them good salaries, good housing, and the hinterland, MMR is still not developed. We are busy talking about a bullet train from this city to another city 500 miles away, but we are not talking about 30 kilometers away. How can we reduce the travel time? The harbour line, which is the main link, and the trans-harbour link will become, it's still only 2 tracks. So all trains are slow. And we don't look at it because the rich don't live there right now. Only when the rich live somewhere, then you will get development. And unfortunately, that's the world over the same problem. So unless rich people go and stay in Navi Mumbai, where we had planned NRIs to come and live, we will not. And funding is another problem. And I think the capital markets being here, the financial hub being in Mumbai, almost all funding travels to Mumbai. And that is one of the big reasons why people will still find coming to Mumbai. In fact, financial tourism, I would say, is much larger than medical tourism. NHS of UK was looking for medical tourism for 6 months in a year when India is cooler. They wanted to use Goa because many people know Goa. But unfortunately, the government did not support. Maharashtra and Goa are 2 different states. So when people land in Maharashtra and they go to Goa, there are different rules. Goa still doesn't have the cab aggregators, Ola and Uber. They are not allowed. So we require to think more of how we'll make more money. It's the golden goose. Don't cut it. Don't say that this golden goose, now platinum is more important, let's get a platinum egg giving goose. I think that is where we are lacking. Regarding the soil development, etc., I think they all follow rules. But as you are aware, there are sometimes rules are bent, whatever reasons, but they will happen. I don't think there's much problem about Mumbai there. Mumbai basically home to so many people and continues to grow. We require to support them. If we support, it automatically will become a larger place where you get money.
Unfortunately, I think we're completely out of time. Just one last question to each of the panelists. Very, very quick thoughts, 30 seconds. What if you had the ability, if you had the power or authority, what 3 things would you recommend or what would you change that would ensure that Mumbai is still the economic powerhouse of India over the next, say, 15 years?
I think regulations should be simple. The taxes should be lower. And the people at the bottom of the pyramid should get more freedom from many of the things that we talk about. If these 3 things are done, the rich people will take care of themselves, the funding will take care of themselves, and I think these are the 3 things that one should do. Thank you.
Just quickly, about Surat, which you mentioned, 11 out of 12 diamonds in the world are polished in Surat. So it has always been an important hub, but the trading, the largest commodity exchange is in Mumbai. So it has to, like you said, the money flows through Mumbai. And about ports, I don't think we should worry that other ports are coming up. In fact, we should welcome that. because it's naturally the depth, because the ports for deep depth, they go to Colombo and they get reloaded over there. So it's, we need ports.
Welcome them, but what will it do to our?
It will help us. It's not going to take away anything. It's not going to. It's only going to increase the pie. The size of the pie is only going to increase. Then quickly, what are the three things? I would say infrastructure. Infrastructure, not just physical, but also social infrastructure, which includes health and education. And the second I would say is housing, affordable housing. Part of it you can see already that has come up in the Low Parel area. And the third thing I would say is about fintech. Now, technology has transformed banking. Sometimes you don't know whether it's a banking company or a technology company. So technology may be very, it has taken off in Bangalore, for example, maybe because of housing, maybe because of whatever. But at the same time, fintech is still coming to Bombay, or Mumbai, whatever. So I think we need to do a few things to make sure, and governance is most important. Political and governance, though of course I will not be able to comment on anything on that aspect, but regulation, governance, I think this is most important. Judicial reforms to make sure that you're able to enforce contracts. Once we have all these, then I think there's no stopping Mumbai.
Thank you. Summing up in 3 lines is very difficult, but what if I given a chance, like to envision how I would like to develop Mumbai. I would like to put people's well-being at the center, and I will not only take the 3 talk only about the finances and economy, and they also bring in the environment and quality of life into the picture. The moment you improve the quality of life, bring in some greenery, we also take care of, like, that is more important. Right now we really do not. If you are a parched soul walking on the street, I want to take rest on a hot sunny day, they don't have place to sit. Now, what kind of life are we offering? I mean, it's not, we talk about climate change, we talk about other issues, but the problems are very simple. You can find solutions. Just have like this vision of transforming Mumbai into a green Mumbai, along with making it as an economic powerhouse, then definitely like we can make that more prosperous. So you just have to bring in that natural capital element along with the human and the produced capital.
I think one of my recommendations, I'm sure you already know, right? Which is I will make an economic master plan for Mumbai MMR for the next 10 years. How will it get? Who will make it and how will it get implemented is a very big recommendation, which has not been listened to in the last 20 years. I don't know whether in my lifetime it will get listened to, but I would love to have a directly elected metropolitan mayor for Mumbai, like Tokyo, like London, like New York, like Philadelphia, and all the big cities in the world. In fact, out of the top 30 cities, only Mumbai and Delhi have no directly. Actually, Delhi is a state, so it's fine. Mumbai doesn't have a directly elected mayor. That's a governance mechanism, because under that, you have an economic master planning department. Today, who's going to do BMC? No, BMC is only one city. You know, who is going to do the economic master plan of MMR? There is no institutional mechanism. Therefore, the second one is a directly elected mayor, which has big political undertones, and nobody has listened to us so far, including the chief ministers, right? Successive chief ministers. So that's my second. And third one is I'll do a housing revolution in Mumbai, where the cost of affordable housing will drop by 50%, which is possible. Just 3 incentives, 3 recommendations will drop housing, along with the proper master plan of green spaces and so on. So I'll do these 3 things to repeat: economic master plan, the institutional mechanism of a directly elected mayor, and the third one is a housing revolution, which drops the cost of housing, especially in the hinterland, by 50%.
Super. Thank you for this incredible discussion, and I hope someone's listening, because we had some great recommendations here, and maybe there'll be a new Vision Mumbai document with a economic master plan in it with all of these recommendations. With that, hand over. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was a very, very interesting evening. Maybe if we had more time, it would have been really worthwhile, getting into a little bit more details. But I'm here now to give the vote of thanks to our very eminent speakers, beginning with Dr. Shirish Sankhe, who has been associated with Mumbai First for the last many years. He did say, who could make a good economic plan? And personally, I believe we have the right man sitting over here. So that's Shirish Sankhe. We have Dr. Brindra, Jagirdar. Thank you for being a part of this discussion and bringing across your views. Mr. Shankar Jadhav, always very ready to be a part of Mumbai First and its various panel discussions. Thank you for participating. Thank you for your views. Dr. Haripriya, Gundimeda, thank you very much. Your views are very interesting, and just for your information, Mumbai First has taken up environment in a very big way for the last 2 years. We've had very successful international climate crisis conferences, and we've attained a lot. Matter of fact, the Mumbai Action Plan was a result of those climate action conferences that took place. And of course, Aarti, you were at your best. Thank you very much for moderating this event. And thank you for coming, all of you. Today's panel discussion on the evolution of economic activities in this city and how to explore avenues of identifying actions for the future while spreading awareness has truly been an enlightening one. As Mumbaikars, it is our collective responsibility that we take all the possible and necessary actions to regain the glory of this metropolis as the financial capital, while introducing new ways as highlighted by these distinguished speakers. It was enriching to get to know their opinions and vision of Mumbai through different aspects like the history of BSE, urbanization, the journey of the banking sector and the sustainable growth, the low-cost housing. The eminent speaker shed a light on how we can address the gaps in attracting better investments and opportunities. Subsequently, learning about the replicable practices in terms of infrastructure, tactical urbanism, and growing of startups within the country and from cities around the world was indeed an enlightening experience again. My vote of thanks will be incomplete without thanking the executive board of Mumbai First, and we have a few of our board members here. I would like to recognize them. We have our very own chairman, whose heart at any given time beats for Mumbai, and that is none other than Mr. Narendra Nair. Thank you for being here. Mr. Roger Pereira, again, thank you for all your support and cooperation and your participation. We have Mr. Rasham Desai, who's the founder of MaxTech, and that's why he spoke about the IT. We have none other than Mr. Sanjeev Bale, who's the Secretary and Treasurer of Mumbai First. Thank you for setting the tone of this event and being the first, as we say, batsman out. We are in the Cricket Club of India, so you did a great job. Thank you. And of course, we have Radhika Nath, who's sitting over there. Thank you for being here always, madam. And Nandini Das over here. Thank you. And Kunti. Thank you for being here and supporting Mumbai First at all times. Further, I would like to thank the managing team of the Cricket Club of India for graciously agreeing to let us host this event at the C.K. Naidu Hall. I would also like to thank the team from Mumbai First, headed by Revati. Where is Revati? Revati, thank you for being here to take a bow. And of course, the team of Mumbai First, who did a good job. I would also like to thank our technical partners who helped us, the photographers, the sound. Farad, thank you. And lastly, I would also like to thank Hunt Media. They are here to cover this whole seminar live, and they may even approach you for a few bites, so please do cooperate. Lastly, but most importantly, I must thank the members of the press, especially Pavita Puri from the Indian Express, who covered this event and is also going to cover the event thereafter. So just want to assure the panelists that your time this evening is not in waste. Everything has been recorded, and we plan to make a whole summary of this evening. We are also going to make a summary of all the suggestions that have come across. And not only that, we're going to share it with the right and appropriate authorities. So this is not effort in vain, let me assure you. We are also planning to meet individually and severally and make a little small committee on this economic growth. Maybe add a few more stakeholders and take it forward, discuss it forward. They come out with something more specific than what we had this evening and take the discussion a little bit more in depth. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Please don't go without the snacks. Very soon these curtains will rise and you will have snacks, and please go home safely. And thank you once again, all the participants. Without you, this